But actually, probably when I went to Europe, I like felt my race the most. That was probably where I experienced like the most like blatant racism. Just like people going up on the street and commenting on my eyes, like using like mocking Asian speak like at me, and then like walking away. Like I just didn't get that in New York that as much. Like people would say, if I got catcalled or something, they would maybe say something about my race, but not in like a derogatory way, more in like a, oh, Asian lady or something like that. Like definitely offensive still, but like not like, I don't think it had like the same malicious intent as it did in, I felt like, Europe.
Japanese school on the weekends I would go, and I distinctly remember having a terrible day one weekend because I was made fun of by the other Japanese students for not being fully Japanese. It's possible it was a combination of my appearance and also that I didn't speak Japanese as well as they did. But that was definitely a moment where I felt alienated by other Japanese 7-year-olds. It was during the free time that we had, the 10 minutes of free time that the Japanese school gave us. And they said something, they made some sort of reference to the fact that I wasn't fully Japanese.
It's actually a like Japanese school. My dad came to pick me up, and then people were like, people said gaijin, which is like the Japanese word for foreigner, and it has like a slight derogatory connotation to it, but it's not a slur per se. But then they also said like kakkoi otosan, which like translates to cool dad. So I don't know. It was like this. It was really weird because I realized that like what they found cool about him was like his whiteness.
After 9/11, my parents didn't let me watch the news because they thought that I would get very little like utility from it, watching the Twin Towers get destroyed over and over in like a constant loop. They told me that an accident happened, and then I guess people had started to talk about the events. This is when I was in first grade in school, and I came back from school one day, and I came back home and asked my dad if I should tell my classmates whether or not he was actually Iraqi, or should I lie and tell them that my dad was actually Italian. And that was heartbreaking to my dad, the existence of prejudice, that in first grade I knew that it was not desirable to be Iraqi or to associate with Arabs.
Definitely there were a lot of stereotypes about being Asian. I definitely had a lot of those conversations of like, you're not Asian enough to be in like Asian group, Asian friend group, and then I wasn't exactly white enough to be considered white, so me and my friend became like the token Asians, so we were the diversity. And I think what really changed was in high school. Actually, the school was majority Asian, which is interesting. And so I was trying to navigate, like, who do I really fit in here? I was like, I don't really like anyone here. Most people here are Asian. I've never really associated with them before middle school. Do I associate with them now? How is this going to work out? I was in this youth advisory program at MoCA, Museum of Chinese in America. And so that's kind of where I had like my first kind of like contact with being Chinese and like the historical background of being Chinese in America and being Chinese in New York, and learning about like the immigrant history. And I was like, oh wait, that's what happened to mom. In high school, no, you don't take classes where you learned about Chinese American history. And so this was the first time I was really learning about that. But then at this time, I was trying to learn about Chinese history and culture kind of separated from my mom. And so that was really helpful, and we watched a lot of films. We learned about like the Vincent Chin case, and I was learning about this kind of presence the Chinese American community had that I didn't know existed, and that was helpful. And then I got involved with like a filmmaking program, and that's how I made my like documentary about being Chinese and Jewish. And so it was kind of this like domino effect of like things started coming together and setting in place where I not just was trying to learn about being Chinese, but I was also trying to figure out what that meant in like my like mixed race identity.